everyone. Didn't quite make it home today for the live video. There you go. Today I would really like to explore resilience. I'd like to explore whether building up resilience takes energy or gives energy. We have this idea, or for a long time I had the idea that building up resilience takes energy, and my image of resilience was a bit of an old-fashioned white male sort of idea of how you got to be tougher and stronger and take more and be harder, and then it's it's good, and then you'll survive, and then you'll make it and you'll perform better. And oh boy, this is so far from true. So I'm just discovering really other ways of building resilience, and actually learning that resilience doesn't even have to be built. It's actually there. For me, what it takes is really stepping out of the way. So let me tell you what I mean by that and how I came to think about this in a different kind of way. This is actually by talking to an 88-year-old lady. And it's really interesting because this 88-year-old lady, who has a lot to share about resilience, she is an actor. And there are many parallels between actors and healthcare professionals. And it surprised me in a way, but there you go. So what I learned is that this is a very tough profession. They are, working there. You've got to show up with everything you have. You're there, you're in the spotlight, the pressure is on you, if you like. You're working night shifts, weekends, off hours. So all the good things, you get the parallels. And there's also an audience to the actors, and the audience is resonating immediately. So every actor knows this, and if you've been to the theater, or if you've been to musicals or events, concerts, then you will know this, that as soon as the stage presence of the actor isn't really there anymore, you lost the audience, and immediately things plummet. And the other way around, if you're really present, then you're really with the audience, and you get standing ovations, and you wake up kind of to standing ovations. And isn't that an interesting bit, that it is really in letting go of checking with the audience or performing some sort of conditioned way of behavior that you're then becoming that role. And that is what she was highlighting so much, is that becoming that role is what makes it so strong. So when we're playing a role, when we're doing something, doing something, that really doesn't work. That doesn't really fly very well. But if we allow ourselves to drop into the role, then that's a whole different story. So that's really interesting to see, because I think there's a number of observations that we can take from that for our profession. In that, if we are, let's say you're tired, maybe you bring something from your family, something in your private life, and you bring this into work as you get into work. Now, what happens, at least for me, I don't know what this is, what it is like for you, but for me, certainly, when I bring my rucksack, my baggage into the work environment, then there's a certain kind of professional behavior that I need to put up, and that I'm kind of playing doctor. So I'm here and I'm performing the role that I'm given, but actually I'm not really fully with every cell of my body here, living and breathing what I'm doing. And it makes all the difference. Those are the days, don't we know those days? Those are the days when things go pear-shaped, when things take longer, when suddenly things are out of sync, when it's just all day. And so it makes matters worse. On other days, when we're really allowing ourselves to drop into the flow, then suddenly things go smoothly and everything works fine. So the same thing applies to actors, and the actors have the feedback directly from the audience. And in a way, we do have this too, but the patients may not have the same permission as the audience to really give us that same sort of feedback. So our audience is possibly more trained or more biased or less honest than the audience of a theater play, for example. So we're not getting that same feedback unless we're actually looking for it. So what is all of this to do with resilience? Well, let me take another step back. This 88-year-old lady is my mother. And so she shared a few other things with me that I really enjoyed. And so, well, some of them are a little tough because she's 88, she has all the aches and all the pains of an 88-year-old lady. And, it's her shoulder and her back and everything doesn't really work so well anymore. Now, she has learned to somehow objectify her pain. And I find this really strange. She sometimes talks to me, whether this is that her son is a doctor or not, but she talks to me like, I have this pain in my shoulder and this is what it does, and describes this like as if it was the pain of somebody else. I said, why are you doing this actually? And she said, well, because I want to actually make you understand what this is like. I said, you know what, you could actually help me understand what this is like better if you talk about your subjective experience rather than about your interpretation of what this is like. It's like, wow, okay. So she started to share about what this pain actually is for her and what it feels like and what it means in her life. And then we got into, she actually said, you know what, that pain actually, what it really does to me is that it helps me see my own death, my own, my limited time on planet Earth. I was like, okay, so what is the role of that pain for you then? It says, well, I have been in situations in my life where I was considered dead, and now I'm alive again, but now I'm 88 and probably my time is counted. So I will be back into this zone again, into the transition zone again. And so she's saying, look, the pain is something that keeps me into my body, into my present body. But I know that I have to leave this body at some point. And I learned as an actor, here's the bridge, I learned as an actor that if I'm dropping into the role, that's when I get the standing ovations, when I become the person that I'm playing, rather than I'm playing that person. Now in the face of death, this is really the same situation for me. Now, the only difference is that I'm not playing the role of some stage play, but I'm actually playing my own role. So now, the difference is that I'm now dropping into, I have the opportunity to drop into the real me. And when I'm in the real me, when I'm really honest, highly subjective, highly personal, not objective at all, that's where I can dare to face death. And I do, she says, I do. Think about this before I go to sleep, and when I wake up, there are these moments when I'm really in contact with dying and with a limited time here. So she says it's a little bit like the ensemble that I played with back then. So back then we had these different roles and we were showing up at a stage, and only one of us was kind of getting the limelight and the others were in the background, and then we're changing as the stage play went on. And he said, actually, this is my situation right now. That there's just, the ensemble is inside. So there's one part of me that is afraid to die, and there's another part of me that is really ready to die. So she was talking about the different characters of herself, essentially. That was beautiful to hear. And then we talked about what that means in order to live. So for her sense of resilience. So what does it take for her to take all this, the pains and the aches and the stresses and the endeavors and the energy for herself? Now that she's so old. And then she said, actually dropping into this role, surrendering into the role, into my being an elderly woman, into letting go, that really lets me tap into a resource that nourished me a lot. And that lets me tap into a resource that somehow carries me. I feel carried and held rather than I need to do something. This really touched me, and it stuck with me. It sat with me for a few days now. And really, when I go through my day as a healthcare professional, what I see is there is a way to build up resilience, which is an active process of kind of toughening up. And it takes energy. It's actually energy depleting. So at the end of the day, it's a negative balance. There is a way to actually drop into a flow where I feel carried, and where building resilience is actually not an act of doing, but is more a state of being. And if I was to single out what is kind of the thing that helps me most, or what is the element that really helps me to come into this flow out of the doing mode into the being mode, is love, is compassion. It is either love and compassion for myself in realizing, like what I'm sharing with you now is realizing, like, oh my God, why am I toughening up all the time? Where am I? Where's my ability to relax and actually tune into that which the patient wants anyway? They're suffering already. They don't need somebody else suffering with them. They're actually looking for somebody at more ease. And the love and compassion for patients, to actually tune into this and remember. And that's where the relaxation happens. And this kind of resilience has to do with an inner strength, not an inner power. Now I'm strong inside. I've built up that power. But it has to do, this is a strength that has to do with trust. And I wonder where that place is in you. Like, where is that place of trust, and how do you activate or access this place of trust where you allow yourself to drop into who you are, where you allow yourself to drop into being this caring, compassionate physician that is available fully? Yeah, where is that place for you? And how do you get to access it during the day? I tend to forget many times, and then suddenly I remember again. So what are those moments of kind of going into the zone, if you like, and coming out of it, forgetting and remembering? I'd be really curious to hear and to learn. This is something that is crucial to heart-based medicine, I feel, and so I'd love to see the conversation on this. Have a great week. Bye for now.